Hello, my Bill for Thousand Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another Coffeehouse Crime. This one is titled "The Hikikomori Who Kidnapped a Teenager to Be His Experiment." I I I I hope I pronounced that right. Hikikomori, right? Hikikomori. That's getting. I might have said words. I don't need to say words. I don't know. I could have just cussed somebody. Oh Jesus. Let's go ahead and get into today's story. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, kill up with someone special. Let's get traumatized. It's Coffeehouse Crimes. I'm gonna come out of this all kinds of fuckered up.
In March 2014, a young student was making her way home from school. Her parents expected her to be home by around 4 PM, but as the evening arrived, they realized that something was amiss. The young girl seemed to have vanished from thin air. An eyewitness and hasty letters left behind suggested a very concerning story, and little did they know that their
Now, when in that with their writing, you read it from left to right, right? You don't read it right to left, like you do where I'm at. You read it left to right, right. Am I stupid? I'm shit.
daughter had been kidnapped by a strange man with very bizarre motives. But who exactly was Kabu Terauchi? What did he want from this young teenager?
He looks like a dorky businessman. Like a nerdier version of Clark Kent.
And what happened in the weeks, months, and years after. Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime, folks. My name is Adrian, and today we're
Hello, Adrian. Thank you for having me once again, my friend. It's always a delight to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
returning to Japan to look at the disturbing case of Kabu Terauchi. Now, before we begin, and just to let you know that I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're jumping straight into this one today, folks, so please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of Kabu.
And when you're grabbing that coffee, if you have not already, jump on over to the Bill 5000 merch store, grab yourself an amazing Bill 5000 mug to have that delicious coffee in. Does the body good.
Kabu Terauchi. Today's story takes us 15 miles northwest of Japan's capital, Tokyo, and it's here that I can welcome all of you to Osaka City. Not to be confused with Cyberpunk's fictional megacorporation Arasaka. Osaka is, in fact, a real city found in the Saitama Prefecture,
like, are we on Cyberpunk now, bro?
which is of course part of the greater Tokyo area. It's fairly remarkable to think that this city originally started off as a humble village with 4 post stations along a highway. It was in the year 1921 that Osaka was upgraded to town status, and
Really?
now, over 100 years later, it's home to around 150,000 residents. Due to its convenient location, Osaka is primarily what's known as a bedroom community, with around 40% of its population using it as home while they commute to the Tokyo metro area for work. And with thanks to its geographic location, it is also one of northern Tokyo's main distribution hubs. Now, Osaka is rather affluent when it comes to education, and ranks quite highly amongst its neighbouring cities, boasting 10 public elementary schools, 5 middle schools, 2 high schools, and one of Tokyo University's campuses. Schooling and teaching are of high priority to its citizens, and attending one of those 5 middle schools was first-year student Ana Saito. Now, Ana isn't actually her real name. Much like the commonly used Western name Jane Doe, it's a placeholder name often used when the true name of a person is either unknown or hidden. Our story today begins in the year 2014, and born in the year 2000.
I didn't know that. So if I just thought like they had something against people with the name Anna, like like damn. So they use like we use Jane Doe, John Doe, and like okay, Man, we learned so much shit, bro. I love it.
2001, Anna was 13 years old at the time. Not a lot is known about her former childhood or her family, but what is known is that she grew up with both parents by her side in a comfortable home in Osaka. She was described as intelligent and witty for her age, and was also known to be kind and well behaved. In other words, not one to break the rules or rebel against her parents. Overall, there was really nothing abnormal about her. She was sweet, liked to spend time with her friends, and was well liked in school. Teachers described her as a clever girl with a very prosperous future. She liked to participate in ballet, and although she was only in her first year of middle school, Anna showed a significant amount of commitment by becoming a member of the student council. Smart, promising, and punctual. These were the 3 words used to describe Anna. However, in March 2014, that final characteristic would, for want of a better word, disappear.
Damn.
March 10th, 2014. It was a Monday, and the weather was partly cloudy, with a low temperature.
Was it like one of those Mondays, or was it just a Monday? And we all know. There's some Mondays that's just, it's a Monday. That Mondays fucking suck. But then you have those Mondays.
Temperature dipping just below freezing. The time was 3:30 p.m. School had just finished for the day, and Anna was making her way home via her usual route. Although she was only 13 years old, she was trusted to make it back home safely by herself. You see, in Japan it is very normal for children to walk home from a very young age. Even without the tradition of trust, Japan is considered a very safe country to live in. Therefore, seeing a young child on their own walking home is nothing out of the ordinary. But when Anna's parents returned home after their own long days at work, Anna was uncharacteristically nowhere to be seen. Searches around the house and calling her name in the garden yielded no response back. And calling her friends and the school was not productive either, as no one had seen her. The Saito family were beginning to panic, and that is when they realized waiting for them in the post box was a letter. It didn't say much, but the handwriting was unmistakably hers, and written inside it said, "I'm taking a break from school and home. Don't come looking for me." Now, this was highly out of character for Anna.
That's weird.
She was a well-behaved young girl who would have never struck out on her own accord like this. Furthermore, if she did actually want to run away from her parents, then why did she leave all her favourite possessions and her essentials behind?
Okay. Japanese and all the they're very, very family. They're yeah, they put a lot of pressure on their kids and stuff, but that's just because, they really want their kids to be amazing people. I mean, I could see maybe the stress of everything maybe getting to her and being like, I just need a break from this. But what that don't usually happen, because children of their hate who like disgrace their parents. That would be like a massive slap in the face, wouldn't it? Maybe somebody made her write it.
None of this made any sense.
No.
The Saito family were very quick to report a disappearance to the authorities, and by nightfall, wanted posters were being displayed all across the local area.
Hell yeah.
These posters highlighted that she was likely wearing a school uniform at the time of her disappearance. Unfortunately, the authorities didn't have a lot of leads to go on, and although a neighbour was able to confirm that they had seen her that afternoon, it didn't lead to any major breakthroughs. But alarmingly, the neighbour did highlight that she was speaking to a young man outside of her home, which led officers to believe that she was either abducted or...
Go figure. Young girl, whole lot destroyed by a young man. Damn. Man, when boys get involved, everything goes to shit. Oh, but the young man could have just been asking her how the day was, or it could have been a friend, or maybe I don't know how their school is, but maybe they had a project together. It might not be bad. Let's not jump to conclusions yet, people.
or had run away with him. But sadly, nothing more came from the sighting, and as the sun rose over Tokyo, Anna's family realized that this was so much more than just a nightmare. Their daughter had vanished without a trace, and there was nothing they could do. Hours soon turned into days, and as those passed, the family were getting
And she generally looked like a happier person. Like I don't know.
increasingly desperate. But on the 9th day of her disappearance, another letter found its way to the Saito family's postbox. And this one read, "I'm doing fine. I apologize for causing so much stress. Don't look for me." Investigators intervened to analyze the letter's handwriting, and although it was confirmed to belong to Anna, its mannerisms did not match the way in which she spoke. It was therefore theorized that she may have been forced to write this. The stamp on the letter confirmed that it was sent from Chiba Prefecture, located 25 miles east of Tokyo.
It's exactly what I was thinking. I said just a little bit ago. Maybe somebody. I'm not saying it was the boy. It could be a lot of people. The person could have seen the dude that I said looked like a dorkier Clark Kent. Could have seen him talking to her. I don't even.
Local officers were assigned to look into it, but their efforts would ultimately be fruitless. And although the family had hoped to receive another letter from Anna, their hopes would never come to fruition, because after this, Anna would go radio silent. And just like that, she disappeared.
So quiet.
Unknown to the rest of the world, Anna had been abducted by a man named Kabu Terauchi. And Kabu was a very strange and weird man. Born in the year 1992, Kabu was 22 years old at the time of Anna's disappearance. Originally from Aikida, located in Osaka Prefecture, he was raised in a wealthy family. Both parents were successful business owners, with his father owning a security company which specialized in physical home security components. This included things such as door locks, window fences, and rails. Now, Kabu did very well in high school and was often ranked at the very top of his class. However, he was known to be quiet and didn't have many friends either. And in fact, he seemed to be quite obsessive over particular things, and sometimes came across quite creepy. He was even considered to be somewhat of a Hikikomori and an otaku. For reference, Japan refers to Hikikomori as a
I said that right. Hikikomori. Holy shit. Ah!
form of severe social withdrawal, characterized by teens and adults who are extreme recluses and are often unable to work or go to school. Otakus are people who are obsessed with particular aspects of pop culture, such as manga and anime, and in Kabu's case, this was anime. Kabu was ultimately very successful with his academics. He attended an aviation school in Tokyo before eventually moving to California, where he obtained his pilot's license from another aviation school. After graduating in September 2013, he then made the move back to Tokyo, where he undertook an engineering degree at Chiba University. While studying here, peers called him quiet, particular, and a little odd, but as far as they knew, he was happy enough. But no one knew of his new, dark, and terrible secret, and from March 2014 onwards, he kept 13-year-old Anna captive in his home. During the days, he would attend classes and see friends as if nothing was happening, before returning to his home in the evenings to focus on his own human experiment. So, before we continue with this story, it may be worth asking ourselves what precisely happened in the lead up to Anna's sudden abduction. Well, it all began about 1 week prior. Kabu had long desired to abduct and observe a young female.
Hold on. Oh, whoa. Bro, I said hold on. Damn. Look, I have a feeling this motherfucker does some really fucked up shit. I need a second. I need a stiff drink. It's one of those smoke 'em if you got it situations. You need to calm down, man. Shit. Huh. Oh. Okay. Okay. Let's get in the mindset. Like, as soon as I heard, like, weird ass experimentation shit, I was like, nope. I just need a second. Shit. I'm gonna throw up just thinking about it. It's got me all kinds of tore up. Let's do it. Fuck, let's get over it like a band-aid.
Student. He wanted to see how her thoughts, behavior, and body would change over time. And furthermore, he wanted to isolate her from society and see how she would react under his own sole influence. He started his plan by searching for the optimal place to find a victim, doing this through an internet-based mapping application very similar to Google Maps. This is how he found a city that fit his criteria, and Osaka seemed to be the perfect place for him to carry out the abduction. It met all of the right conditions, since it was neither countryside nor too urban, and although Kabu was not familiar with the city, he was able to visit it in person and observe it online. Now that a location had been selected, he drove to Osaka to scope the place and its victims out. This is when he came across Ana Saito. He noticed that she often walked home alone from school and recognized he could use this to his advantage. After following her, he decided to do some investigating, and after looking through the home's placard and various other items around the property, he learned of her actual name. It was 1 week later, on March the 10th, 2014, that he finally decided to kidnap her. It was a Monday, and at around 4 PM, Anna was walking home from school. And this is when Kabu approached her from outside of her own home. He tricked her into going with him by falsely telling her that her parents were getting divorced and that he was the family's lawyer. And furthermore, he was willing to take her to both of her parents, who were supposedly waiting at his office. Since Kabu knew Anna's full name, she unfortunately believed him and his story, and therefore agreed to get into his car. However, instead of going to an office, he then drove 40 miles from Osaka to his own home in Chiba. It was at this stage that Kabu had a new and very different story to tell her. He now claimed that her parents were actually planning on killing her. The family were supposedly now in debt, and they wanted to fix this by cutting out her internal organs and selling them on the black market. In addition to this, he presented a forged audio recording to her, which allegedly revealed a discussion between her parents agreeing to such an idea. And this is where the real persuasion and manipulation began. He started to tell Anna that he was the only
Oh my fucking god. So he basically modded Google Maps, found a place to victimize someone, went there, learned what he could about her in like less than a week or a week, whatever, forged a recording of her parents saying that they wanted to rip out her organs and sell them. What kind of fucked up motherfucker?
only one who cared for her, and the only one who would protect her. That he was her new savior, the only one she could rely on. He also told her things such as, nobody is coming for you. Nobody cares about you. You've been thrown away, and you're all alone. Over the weeks, months, and then years, this repeated narrative started to become factual in her mind. By the way, this psychological phenomenon is actually quite common, and it even has a name. The illusory truth effect is the tendency to believe false information to be correct after repeated exposure. Repetition makes statements easier to process compared to new unrepeated statements, leading people to believe that the repeated conclusion is more truthful. Now, Anna was in an extremely influential stage of her life. At 13, she was old enough to understand the core workings of the world, but she was still rapidly learning new things within novel environments. She couldn't fully discern what was fact from fiction, and alongside his repetitive rhetoric, she started to believe Kabu. Add the widely known phenomenon of Stockholm Syndrome to the mix, which is a condition where a hostage develops feelings of trust and affection towards their captor, and she was evidently wrapped in a world full of confusion. Her mind was playing a game of psychological warfare for many months and even years after this. And while she recognized that something wasn't quite right about her situation, she stayed put alongside him. Unfortunately, Kabu was busy with his own experiments too. The young man had become obsessed with brainwashing and hallucinogens, and after learning that morning glory flowers had hallucinogenic properties, he would frequently spike her drinks with them. Anna was confined to a single room within his apartment, which, as we know, was located 25 miles east of Tokyo in Chiba. The room was heavily guarded by Kabu almost all of the time, and although she was given comforts and conveniences, he made it very hard for her to escape. For example, the bedroom door could only be opened from the outside, and all external windows and patio doors were locked. And ironically, the iron rails bolted on the outside of his property were actually proprietary to his own father's security business. Now, there were actually
Damn.
multiple occasions where Kabu forgot to close a window or door, and on these occasions, Ana wandered a short distance from the property, only to return before he got back home. Ana did find the courage and strength to escape during one of these ventures, but after approaching a mother and asking her for help, she said she had her own children to look after and shooed Ana away. Trying a second time several weeks later, Ana made her way to a local park where she found an old woman. But unfortunately, after asking for help, this woman refused and ignored her. Both of these occasions reinforced the narrative that no one cared about Ana, and that, furthermore, she had no better place to be than Kabu's apartment. And although Kabu never found out about her ventures outside, neither did anyone else, with not a single neighbour noticing her exit the apartment or wander around the area. On occasion, Kabu would actually take her outside on small excursions. She sometimes accompanied him for dinner to a restaurant or to a supermarket, but she was always unable to escape because she was forced to hold his hand. This highly abnormal and dysfunctional dynamic continued for a large stretch of time, and by February of 2016, Ana Saito had been missing for almost 2 years. The burden and pain her mother and father felt was enormous. It is no secret that a child missing for that length of time is usually indicative of very bad news. But despite 23 months of silence, they still held on to hope. She was still out there somewhere. Both of them could instinctively feel it. And Ana was indeed still alive, although under captivity, with Kabu still watching and observing her. In anticipation of his imminent graduation from Chiba University, he made the move from Chiba to an apartment near Higashi Nakano Station, found in Tokyo's Nakano ward. This move was the first one he had made in years, and Ana would go with him. Now, the apartment was nothing special, but it did do its job. Located a
I better say, is he gonna leave her there? Like, he's a ballsy motherfucker. He moving with her. Like, are people not seeing her? And the fact that these people keep turning her away when she's asking for help. What kind of fucked up neighborhood does this motherfucker live in, bro? A lady asks for help, you help. And that is a young lady. A young lady. Fucking people, bro.
A few floors up, it had a balcony and a somewhat restricted view of Tokyo. And hey, the bedroom that Ana was kept in even had a door handle this time, which is a very important detail to the next part of our story. Because that was when, on Sunday, March 27th, 2016, a very sudden and shocking twist in the story occurred. A phone call was made to the Saito residence, and after Ana's mother picked up the receiver, a small voice responded back. It was Ana, and her mother instantly knew it was her. She hadn't heard her daughter's voice for 2 years, 2 weeks and 3 days. Yet here she was, on the other end of the line. Ana had finally managed to escape from Kabu's home. After being told that he was heading out to Akihabara City to buy a mobile phone, she bided her time and checked the locks. Fortunately, he had forgotten to lock the door, and so, after waiting a few minutes, she grabbed 170 yen from the kitchen, about $1.30 or £1 sterling. After running out of the apartment, she found herself at Higashi Nakano Station, and after noticing the green public payphones, she made the call back home. Moments later, she called the police. She was wearing sandals and a thin set of clothes, which clearly was not enough to shield against Japan's cold winter. And after recognizing that she was the one in the missing posters, police officers then escorted her to Nitsa Police Station, located in Saitama. And hours later, she was finally reunited with her parents.
Hell yeah.
Miraculously, Ana was in pretty good health and in fairly high spirits. And although she'd spent 2 years in captivity, fortunately, she was not subject to any physical or sexual violence.
Thank God.
Now, as far as these stories can go,
oh, thank you, baby Jesus. Oh, Lord.
the conclusion so far had been one of great happiness. Not only was she alive and uninjured, but it seemed as if she was not victim to any abuse either. However, there were other parameters that officers would now have to look at. And unfortunately, it became pretty obvious that her 2-year-long experience had greatly and negatively affected her mental health. Ana had developed a severe case of PTSD and anxiety. She was 2 years behind school, and without dressing it up, had lost 2 years of her childhood. So although the initial conclusion seemed to be pretty good, the road to recovery would be long and uncertain. Following her escape and the heavy presence of the authorities, Kabu knew he was
Either way, that poor child's life is fucked. Even though she's lived, she ain't gonna live well. She ain't gonna live well. That's a scar that never fucking heals. It might get a little lighter, but it's still fucking there.
In a shit ton of trouble, and in a panic, he escaped to the countryside to plan out his next move. He wouldn't get very far though, as at around 3 AM the next morning, he was finally detained by police officers, after they responded to an emergency call made by a newspaper delivery man. He was found standing in the road with a box cutter covered in blood with a substantial laceration injury to his neck. He eventually admitted that he'd attempted to take his own life by slashing his neck with a box cutter, though with the blade so blunt, all he did was manage to make a mess of it. Kabu was admitted to the hospital, discharged 3 days later, and then arrested immediately upon exit. After his arrest, Kabu admitted that he'd wanted to carry out a kidnapping ever since his young teenage years while in junior high school. He also admitted that on the night he tried to take his own life, he fled north to the countryside, got drunk on beer and whiskey, and then tried to use the box cutter. Found on the back of a receipt on his being were the words, "I committed a terrible crime," therefore suggesting his intention. But as we know, he would not get the results he wanted, and in return for his own life, he would now have to face the courts of Tokyo instead. Now, Kabu had actually graduated from uni just 5 days before his arrest, but before his trial even began, they would strip him of his degree and all possible merit.
Good.
Moving into the legal proceedings of this case, Kabu's trial began in August 2017. However, the judge ultimately postponed a ruling after Kabu threw his trial into confusion with some extremely erratic behavior. Kabu made strange noises, spoke unintelligibly, shrieked as he entered the courtroom, and even claimed to be a fairy of the forest. He further claimed that he no longer understood Japanese and was now an amoeba, which is a single-cell and often parasitic organism that can invade a host, and sometimes even consume brain tissue. It's not entirely clear if this was an act to appear insane or if he had truly lost the plot. A psychiatric evaluation conducted by the court found that he did in fact have a mild case of autism, but there were otherwise no other conditions they could definitively conclude on. Prosecutors claimed that Kabu should be held liable, as the kidnapping and confinement of Ana Saito was deliberately planned and executed. But his defense countered this, arguing that he should not be held responsible for his actions as he was suffering from schizophrenia. The judge, who ultimately ruled the decision, commented that the defendant was aware that his actions were both wrong and illegal, as he made multiple attempts to prevent them from being revealed. One of these attempts included the use of a stolen number plate during the abduction. The judge further said, the confinement lasted for a significantly long period of time, dealing an unimaginable blow to the victim by depriving her of her precious time. The defense argued that Anna's account suggested there was no physical violence or verbal or sexual abuse during her confinement. But Anna's own psychological review was not so positive. It concluded that she had developed a severe case of PTSD as a result of his actions, and even a year after her release, she was still suffering from debilitating flashbacks and was still struggling to readjust to society. She furthermore had severe social issues, struggled to connect to people, and was often too scared to go outside alone. Kabu himself argued that he'd only committed the crime because, quote, the instructions were sent to my brain, and he also said that he was very sorry to the examination subject. When asked why he was calling her that, he said he considered his crime to be an experimentation, and he further added that he wanted to treat her as an animal, not as a human being. On March 12, 2018, the Saitama District Court sentenced Kabu Terauchi to 9 years in prison for his role in abducting and imprisoning Anna. But there appeared to be some contention on both sides of this verdict. While the public prosecutors demanded a minimum term of 15 years, Kabu unsurprisingly wanted less and appealed. But the High Courts rejected his appeal, and to really rub salt in the wound, in February 2019 they readjusted his sentence to 12 years instead, nullifying the lower court ruling of 9. With his arrest occurring in 2016, he has already served more than half of his sentence behind bars. He is scheduled to be released from prison in the year 2028. In the meanwhile, Anna has moved on with her life and will be 27 by the time he is released. Anna's father said that, deep down, he believed that eventually she would return home. Seeing her for the first time in 2 years, his first words to her were, "You hung in there, welcome back." Speaking to the press, her father shared, "I am really relieved. I want to spend time with my daughter so that we can regain the time we've lost." Anna claims that one of the many things which gave her hope was being aware of her parents' efforts and actions throughout the months and years. She had become aware of their activities via the internet, which she frequently had access to while Kabu was out of the apartment. Several articles described her family leading search parties to find her, and her father frequently handing out flyers to the general public. It is unclear what Ana is up to these days, as quite obviously she's trying to hide from the spotlight.
Yeah.
But I hope that wherever she is, and whatever she's doing, she's happy and thriving in her environment.
Hell yeah.
So I think that just about wraps up our case today, folks.
Man, I hope she's living life to the fucking fullest, bro. 27-year-old beautiful young lady out there living it up. Damn, bro, that's all fucked up. Just traumatized. I told you, traumatized. What the fuck? Alright, I really enjoyed today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. While you're down there going over, slap that subscribe button, become part of the Bill 5000 Nation. We do some crazy shit here. If you want to know when that crazy shit happens, ding that bell. It might work for you. It might not. But if it do, jump on in on one of my premieres, go over in the live chat and be like, hey, Bill, I got dinged so good. I'm like, the dinging has not stopped. Leave a like and dip. That's all you got to do. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Man, that's all kinds of fucked up. Fuck all that shit. I'm out.